Week 2 of the fantasy football season. Here's a few quarterbacks I have as sleepers this week. The first quarterback, Geno Smith of the Las Vegas Raiders. In his Raider debut last week, 362 pass yards, touchdown, interception, 2 rush attempts for 10 yards in New England. So Geno Smith last season was up there in passing yards. Just finding the end zone's been a problem for him. And for him to be a decent sleeper option versus a decent Charger defense. Hope Brock Bowers plays in this game. But like I said, Geno Smith, he's been a veteran in this league. He's bounced around a whole lot, but I think he's been a decent quarterback over the last few seasons and could be a sleeper option this week, even in the middle of the pack matchup. Won 76% of fantasy leagues. Next quarterback, Aaron Rodgers of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Aaron Rodgers, he's still out there in tons of leagues after he went out there versus his former team, and he stuck it to the New York Jets as well. 76% of leagues he's available in. So last week, he was having a touchdown party versus former team, 244 pass yards, 4 touchdowns for Aaron Rodgers. Him and DK Metcalf were on the same page. Jonnu Smith scored a touchdown, Calvin Austin, Jalen Warren. So everyone got involved over there for this Pittsburgh Steelers team, and this week it's a decent matchup versus Seattle Seahawks coming to town in the Steelers home opener. I don't expect Rodgers week in and week out to put in numbers like he did at the Jets. That was just obviously extra juice and extra motivation for Rodgers. But like I said, he could be a decent option this season. The arm strength is still there. Obviously, the mobility isn't. But he's a quarterback that likes spreading the football out. And even at 41 years old, could be a decent fantasy option on and off this season. And the final quarterback's another veteran up there in age, Joe Flacco of the Cleveland Browns. So Joe Flacco, 45 pass attempts last week. It led to a loss, but he had 290 pass yards, a touchdown, 2 interceptions versus the Cincinnati Bengals. So this week, not a great matchup on paper, Baltimore. But this is going to be a game where they're trailing right out of the gate early and often, where before you know it, it could be a 14, 20-point lead for Baltimore. And Joe Flacco, once again, has to drop back 45, 50 times and throws the football. And they got some decent options over there. Jerry Jeudy, Cedric Tillman, who had a touchdown last week, David Njoku, the rookie Harold Ennis Jr., he emerged last week with a nice game. So there's some options in this passing game for Joe Flacco. But unless you're in the deepest of leagues or 2 quarterback leagues, is the only way I would put him out there versus Baltimore defense. But like I said, he's going to throw the football a lot as Flacco and might work into some points. So that's a few quarterbacks I have as sleepers for week 2 of the fantasy football season.